guys, it's Vaughn and welcome back to another favorites video. Today we're gonna get into some of my favorite products, but we're also going to talk about why I am no longer plant-based or vegan. I have been getting a lot of questions from you guys about my diet and why it changed. I decided to go ahead and just kind of address it today, and that way when people ask, I can point them to this video for the explanation. But I do get it, a lot of you guys are just genuinely curious, and so that's why I wanted to make this video. The explanation that I'm going to give to you guys today is not something that's going to be cut and dry. There are multiple factors that played a part in why I am no longer focused on being plant-based. So it's a little bit of a story, so go grab your popcorn, all right? Then come on back and we're gonna get into it. So let's just get right to it, right? So my history of my diet. I feel like I've been kind of on restrictive diets for probably the last, 7 to 8 or 9 years or something like that. I kind of lost count. I remember being pescatarian first, many years ago, and I did that for a very long time. And then when I decided to go straight plant-based, I actually went from pescatarian to plant-based. I skipped vegetarian, and I did that for probably 5 years straight. I would say I was doing pretty successful with the diet. I didn't really have any issues with it. I was always satisfied. I was eating things that I loved. It was not a big deal. So I never had concerns about whether or not I was enjoying my food or enjoying my life as I was living that lifestyle. Where things got complicated for me was when I got pregnant with my daughter. Many of you are familiar with that whole story, but I had a very rare condition known as HG, hyperemesis gravidarum. Essentially, it's a syndrome characterized by severe morning sickness, nausea and vomiting, etc., etc. It affects only like 1 in 10,000 women a year or some crazy statistic like that. So it's very rare. And as you guys know, with rare conditions, there's very little research and medicine to address it. The only conditions that get attention are the ones that affect the majority, right? So it was a condition that greatly affected my ability to consume food, right? I had a very sensitive palate at that time. There was a lot of stuff that I couldn't eat. And I was working with my doctor trying to figure out a treatment plan for myself. And we kind of went back and forth for weeks. So during that time, I really wasn't eating much of anything. And so malnutrition was definitely a threat at that time. Dehydration was a serious threat. I had been hospitalized, I don't even know, 3 or 4 times just to be treated for dehydration. And I had to be given sugars and just all kinds of things like that in order to survive. It was like starving to death. So I said that to say this, right? At that time, I was having a very difficult relationship with food. There were times where I could eat, and when I could, it would be like some weird craving, like ketchup or like baked chicken or like, peppers. And it was just different weird cravings. And so at that time in my life, there was no way I could tell myself no to anything that I wanted. So I was eating weird stuff like chicken tenders and stuff that I hadn't eaten since I was a kid, essentially. So my plant-based diet went out the window, right? So once my doctor and I had come up with a treatment plan that was working, right? It was something that was suppressing the nausea so that I could keep things down. I could go back to eating the things that I chose to eat, right? Not just, these weird cravings. So I went back to plant-based and everything was fine. So then fast forward a couple of years, my daughter comes along, healthy and beautiful as ever, and she's diagnosed with autism. And with that comes a lot of challenges, right, in terms of development, but also a lot of little finicky things like different food aversions, textures and flavors and temperatures and colors and all these different things you can never imagine. The stuff we take for granted in our senses, my daughter is very sensitive to these things. So very picky eater, okay? Having to create special dishes just for her with her taste buds and different aversions in mind. Everything that I'm cooking for her, I'm tasting it first because I'm her mom and there's nothing I'm gonna give her that I'm not going to eat first. Stuff like macaroni and cheese or chicken tenders. So that went on for a few months and I was still trying to kind of balance, being plant-based while also caring for my daughter and, tasting her foods and doing things that she needs me to do. And it kind of dawned on me that really no longer plant-based. So there was that piece to the puzzle, right? The other part to it is when I started to focus more on my fitness journey, right? Me starting to want to shed a couple pounds that came out of nowhere, and I still don't really know why I gained weight suddenly like that. So I started to get more focused on working out and following a nutrition plan. So through that journey, I was learning more about nutrition and the things that my body needed and the things that I needed to avoid. And what I started to see, you guys, were the flaws in my diet. Flaws that came about because my diet was unnecessarily restrictive. That's my opinion, me personally, not anybody else's story but mine, right? It's the only one I can tell. So for me, focusing so much on all of the restrictions was distracting me from nutrition. There was a lot of unnecessary substituting with things that weren't necessarily any better than meat. You know, trying to feel full, loading up on way too many carbs, eating lots of bread, lots of pastas, and the fake meats and stuff, right? It took me like really just looking at the labels on some of this vegan labeled stuff and seeing these sodium levels just being kind of off the charts. And around that time, I was doing a lot of the cooking for my house. I mean, my husband can't cook, so I do all the cooking. And I was making a lot of meat substitute type of dishes. And I did notice the sodium levels were really high, but it wasn't until my husband was hospitalized for high blood pressure. That's when we kind of found out he had high blood pressure. And a lot of the major concerns that his doctor had was his consumption of sodium. And so that's when we kind of started to pull away from sodium rich, you know, foods and just kind of be more conscious in that way. I'm not saying that that was the straw that broke the camel's back. This is just another layer, another component to why I ultimately made the decision to not be plant-based anymore. And so with all of that, you know, it just kind of was building up a weariness for the lifestyle. I started to really not believe in it anymore. I started to not believe that it was the best thing I could be doing for my health. Not to say that it was the worst, because we all know that there are much worse diets, but for me, it just didn't seem like it was sending me down the path to righteousness. You know, it just didn't seem like it was going to help me in the long run. And you guys, essentially, okay, what actually broke the camel's back with this, okay? And I want you guys to take this away with you if you don't take anything else from this video, is that the level of restriction that my diet was presenting to me mentally and emotionally, it was starting to make me feel like I was developing an eating disorder. Very serious matter, okay? My relationship with food was becoming more of a fear-based thing when it came to making selections for myself. There were definitely moments where I felt like it'd be better to not eat anything. Now, we're not gonna take this and twist it and run off and, you know, say Vaughn has an eating disorder. We're not gonna do that, okay? I've never had an eating disorder, let's be clear, but the way that I was thinking about food and the way I was processing all of the restrictions, okay, was sending me down that path, I feel. And so that was it for me. Like, as soon as I decided that that's where my thinking was headed, that's when I knew that was it. So what came next, right, was instead of being restrictive about the things that I was eating, I no longer wanted to do that. I no longer wanted to subscribe to that. What I decided I'd rather do is just be conscious about the foods that I chose in a way that I had never been before. So we're not talking about counting calories and all that kind of stuff. What I did instead was cut out the things that I knew doggone well I had no business eating, and that I would incorporate nutritionally dense foods. And I allowed myself to open up to whatever foods that might be. And just like how becoming vegan, I had to transition into that, I also had to transition away from it. So it wasn't something that just overnight, one day I woke up and I was eating a pork chop, you know. It was a thought process that went into it. And over a period of time, I would just kind of slowly start back incorporating animal products or different things that weren't accepted in the vegan lifestyle category. Eggs and cheeses and cream and stuff like that. You know, and then there's a right way and a wrong way to approach any lifestyle change, right? And I do realize that based on the outcome, there were probably some mistakes that I made and some things that I did wrong, but I am mature enough to realize that in that case, it wasn't for me. So in the end, I felt like I had kind of done it long enough to really know the ins and outs of the lifestyle. And when I made the choice that it wasn't for me anymore, it was a confident choice. Like, I knew, because I hadn't done it for 30 days or 60 days. I had done it for 5 years. What I think most people need to realize is that, you know, whatever diet you choose, right? You're not going to be able to just shut off your brain and then just blindly go into that diet. You always have to be conscious. If you care about your body, you know, you always have to be conscious about what you're choosing. Just because something has vegan slapped on it does not mean it's better for you. It might actually be worse for you. You know, the space was just really starting to get cluttered with a lot of genetically modified, a lot of processed food items. I don't think I went into it thinking that that's where it would end up, but because it did, it was just really starting to, the integrity of the lifestyle was deteriorating for me, in my eyes, because I'm just like, what has this become, you know? And I started to feel like I was part of a community that was being exploited for money. So I decided that I wasn't going to be vegan or plant-based anymore. I was just going to focus on being very selective about the quality of foods and the types of foods that I was eating. And that coupled with working with a professional nutritionist and just really understanding how to use food as fuel in order to get the things that I need out of my body. So those are my reasons for not being plant-based vegan anymore. Before we move into the favorites, I have to just say, obviously this was not a video to bash anyone who is choosing to be a vegan or to be plant-based. I'm also not promoting, you know, a meat eater lifestyle. I'm just sharing with you guys the thoughts that were going through my head when I made the choice not to have a restrictive diet anymore. I guess my best advice is for anyone out there trying to figure out what's the best diet for optimal health is to work with a nutritionist. Okay, so that's it for the vegan chat. I hope that answered you guys' questions. If you do have anything to add or any additional follow-up questions, just put them down in the comments and I'll try to get to it. Let's get into the favorites. Let's start off talking about my look. I know y'all have watched this whole video and you're like, tell us about this bang, girl. So I wanted to try a new hairstyle. So I am doing like this sort of bang and bun situation. This was my first time ever trying a style like this, so I don't even know. I think it turned out cute though. It's got to do with some tracks and some hair glue and things of that nature. So this was my first attempt, so I did not film it or anything because I really didn't know how it was going to turn out. It was so easy. So if you guys want to see a tutorial, I will put one together. Just let me know. This is a really, really old top, you guys. I've had this for a decade probably. It used to be a dress and I cut the bottom off and just made it into a cami. And my jeans, they're super comfy. I love them so much. These are Gen 7 jeans. I like how they're a little bit cropped. They are perfect for summertime. Oh yeah, and my necklace looks like a old vintage coin. This is very old. I bought this years ago at a consignment shop. And this bag that I was carrying today, okay, you guys haven't seen this in a long time. This was my first ever Louis Vuitton purchase. I bought this bag over 10 years ago and I had my initials engraved on there when I was in Las Vegas one time because they do it right on site. So it was quick, so I made sure to take my bag with me when I went to visit. But I bought the bag in Chicago at the downtown Louis Vuitton store. And this is the Neverfull GM in the damier ebony print. One of my favorite prints that Louis Vuitton makes, probably my favorite. That was actually the original Louis Vuitton print. Did you guys know that? The damier print was the original. The monogram LV came much later. Okay, and then what else? Oh yes, I'm just wearing my Zara shoes that you guys have seen before. On my lips, I am wearing a NARS matte lip pencil called Cruella. I love this color, I always get it. Okay, let's get into some favorites. So let's start off with some new makeup that I bought, okay? This is a Pat McGrath lipstick. It's a matte color. It's called Candy Flip. I love this, okay? I wore this the other day for Anthony's birthday. You guys will see that video soon. I did vlog. But look at the packaging, you guys. So much fun. Look how cute that is. It's giving pop art. I really love it. Okay, let's take a look at the color. This is what got me to buy the thing, okay? The beautiful color. Look at that beautiful matte color, you guys. So nice. It's such a nice wearable pink rosy blush kind of lip color that I think has enough brown tones that it really complements, you know, brown skin, you know? So I had to get it. Oh, let me swatch it for you guys because this is what I saw when I bought it in Sephora. I had swatched it on my hand and I was like, oh, I gotta have that. So that's what we have. Look at that. Yeah, super cute. And especially if you want to put lip gloss on top of it, it gets even more beautiful. It's like the perfect base, you know, if you want to put a gloss on top of it. Okay, next I wanted to show you guys some things you can eat, okay? So let's start with these gummies, you guys. So these are the GOLI gummies. You guys know I love GOLI gummies, all right? So these are my ashwagandha ones. I've actually talked about these before, but I got some new ones that I wanted to tell you guys about. These are the Super Fruits gummies, okay? They're for beauty, wellness, and nutrition. The flavor is mixed fruit, and it is so good, you guys. It's got vitamin A, C, E, it's got zinc, all that good stuff that you need for like your skin and your complexion and everything to be looking all good. So I just got these, you guys, and I'm loving them so far. Between this and my skincare products I've been using, my skin has never looked and felt better. So I would definitely recommend these for you guys. If you want to check them out, I will put the link below. Right now, if you use my discount code, you'll be able to save 10% off your order, okay? Now, I like these as supplements, okay? Because they don't contain any of the garbage that you don't need, okay? Okay, now I want to show you guys a couple of loaves of bread that I've been loving. And these were products that were recommended to me by my fitness nutritionist. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Ezekiel Bread, but that's what this is. And I have two different ones here. This is the regular one, and this is the one made with raisin, okay? So I've eaten quite a bit of it, as you can see, because me and my husband we eat this together. But it's basically a flourless bread, okay? It's made with sprouted grains. It's not even really bread, it just looks like bread, right? They've shaped it to look like bread and everything because it's just literally bundles of whole grains ground up and made into a loaf. So you keep these in the freezer, but they are non-GMO. There's no sugar, there's 19 grams of whole grains, and it's basically made with wheat, barley, beans, lentils, millet, and spelt. So it's certified organic, all that good stuff. If you're on a fitness journey or if you just want to clean up your diet a little bit, bread is not very clean, you know? So this is a great alternative. And I like to have it for breakfast, but you could also make like sandwiches out of it. You can make burgers out of it. And I really love the cinnamon raisin one, okay? Because this one is very delicious. And I like to use my vegan plant-based butter on it because it's basically just a really creamy oil. Sometimes I get the one with avocado, sometimes I get the one with olive. So it's just really delicious. And to me, it tastes better than like cow butter or wherever butter comes from. So I was loving the bread so much that I decided to try their cereal offering, and I didn't even know they made this until I saw it in the cereal aisle one day. So this is just the sprouted crunchy cereal, Ezekiel cinnamon raisin. Have you guys ever heard of grape nuts? So you guys remember my grandmother used to eat grape nuts all the time, and so that's kind of what this reminds me of, okay? It gets very soggy very quick. They're not like big flakes in here. These are like little crumbles, and it's very, very crunchy. So I like to use a little bit of almond milk in this, and I eat it right away, right? As soon as the milk touches the cereal, I'm ready to go because I don't want it to get too soggy too quick. But as far as the flavor and the nutritional benefits, it's there. As you guys know, with most cereals, it's nothing but sugars. I mean, it's like if you like cereal, you might as well give this one a try because it's definitely a better choice. Okay, so that's the edibles. Okay, now I don't have a wine of the month to share. I have been drinking wine and beer, okay, but I don't have anything new. I've pretty much just been revisiting all of my faves from previous videos, except for this. It's not a wine, but it's in the wine category. I actually got this from at home. They're called Wiener Dogs. Y'all, this is so smart and cute. Tell me, do you guys have something like this? So it's basically a way to identify whose glass is whose. And this is why I think this is important, because usually if you have people over, you are probably using a wine set that you have, so everyone's glass looks exactly the same. So this is a great fun way to differentiate the glasses. I chose the little dogs because I am a dog lover, but they had cats, ew. They had dolphins, a bunch of other stuff. So I actually took these for a test drive the other night for Anthony's birthday, and it worked out great, and it was a great conversation piece too. So they're made out of these little rubber materials. Let me show you guys one of them. I'll show you the little tan one. So it's a rubbery material, very soft and flexible, and you just pop it right at the base of your glass stem, and it just stays put. And it's so cute, and you know which one is yours. I really like the idea, so I'll probably end up shopping for more maybe on Amazon, because I'd like to be able to have it coordinate with a specific theme. So if we're having like a Hawaiian barbecue, for example, I'd like little luau skirts or something, you know, on there, just something to go with the theme. So I think that'll be really, really fun. So I'll probably start collecting these, is basically what I'm saying. All right, you guys, that's it for today's favorites video. I know it's kind of long. We got into some pretty heavy convo right at the beginning there, but I just really wanted an opportunity to talk to you guys about this because I knew it was deeper than what it looked like on the outside. So I just wanted to shed some light on that, and also to plant that seed for a few people who are maybe you know, beating themselves up or feeling like they're not trying hard enough, or they lack the discipline to maintain certain diets. I just want you to know that the struggle is realer than just craving meat, right? Other things can be going on with a person. So don't be so hard on yourself. You know, to this day, there are still a bunch of meats that I really just don't even eat because I just don't really like them that much, you know? Going without it for so long, it's like I don't feel like I really need it. I mean, I got some of my favorites, don't get me wrong, but there are some things that I just don't even touch, you know? So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will absolutely talk to you in my next one. Mwah. Bye.